Hi there, welcome back to the channel. So, yesterday I came in to start setting up the Zoom to track, and I just wasn't happy with the tone of my guitar. And then I spent the rest of the day messing around with pickup height adjustment. I have this little D'Addario gauge thing. It's got a bunch of handy measurements on it. I love it. It's a string height gauge. Do all kinds of cool stuff with that tool. And the little Swiss Army knife thing that I got from my in-laws, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, whom I've actually, my brother-in-law played in a band with. And this thing has ended up being the perfect tool to adjust pickup height. It's got a little Phillips head in there, and I don't know why, I just like using this better than anything else. So, I've been messing with that a lot, and I'm actually going to make a video about that because I think it's really important, especially with Strats and certain amps, and like the bridge pickup especially because it's so bright. And I typically love bright. But the problem I was having was trying to lift it up to get power, and then power was making the distortion really muddy. And I like, I like some grit and I like a dirty tone, but I want to have the clarity of the note and not turn it to mud like most people. And I also was learning about the magnetic flux that occurs when the string gets too close to the magnet. It actually affects the intonation and tuning and gives you like this kind of wobble and out of phase, like extra overtone that's kind of not pleasing to the ear. So anyway, I was also thinking maybe the Fender Deluxe would be the better choice for this track. It might record better, and it might just, represent the song better than the 18 watt. So, real quick I want to let you hear the 18 watt, and then I'm going to plug it into, I'll let you hear the Deluxe. And the Deluxe will not be as loud. It's a 1x12 at 8 ohms. I've got the volume at 8, treble at 2, bass I'll just put it on 5, and it's in the first channel, the channel with the most gain, channel number 1. So, and plugged directly in. The only effects I have is the Carl Martin Headroom reverb pedal, which I adore. Sounds lovely, quiet, it's just wonderful. And so that's sitting there, and I've got it in the first channel. The tone is all the way up, and the reverb level is at like noon. Okay, so that's all I've got going, and I'm going to use that same setup with the 18 watt. I'm just trying to decide which one would sound better for the track. So I'm going to do a quick, and this video is going to actually help me because I can put headphones on and listen and make a final decision, and I'm hoping to start tracking tomorrow. If I don't start tracking tomorrow, it'll be early next week because my son's birthdays are over the weekend and all that kind of stuff. But I want to get back on this regular tracking thing for all my Zoom friends out there, because if we're not doing this together and we're not learning, and you guys aren't seeing what I'm doing and learning from it, or asking me questions or telling me things that you know, I can't learn from it. So I know that I got to get back on this. Plus I have a whole other like 5 songs to record after this one to complete this record, because I'm kind of old school about making albums, one complete thought, 10 songs, maybe 9 songs if I can get one to be a little longer. But yeah, I got a lot of work to do, and the Zoom is kind of my place that I go. I was thinking about upgrading and stuff, but I think I can get good sound quality. Somebody was suggesting using mic pre's that would increase your tonal quality going in, and still using the Zoom for all of its cool effects and stuff. And I'm still okay with CD quality output. Of course it would be nice to record in higher output, but at the price point, the simplicity, I'm just going to stick with this for the rest of this record. Obviously when I make the next record, I might move up to the live track, who knows, or some kind of combination. Alright, so enough of my yakking, and I don't even know if my Zoom friends will want to bother with this video any further, but it's really important to get the correct amp tone before you record, because if I don't try every option, it's going to bother me later. Like, God, I think that might have been a Fender tone, a Fender amp song, or I should have done that on the 18 watt. And if I was just lazy and didn't check it, I might miss out on an opportunity. So remember that this will be lower volume, so don't judge judge them by volume, and I'll try to adjust that in the editing software. I can just kind of lift the volume up a little bit if this one sounds anemic compared to this one, because this is 4 speakers versus 1. So what I'm looking for is not like volume and impact, but more like tone, because when you're recording, obviously It's the room sound that we're hearing is a little different once it goes to a recording, goes to a microphone, whatever effects, blah blah blah, and then ultimately output it. So it changes the tone a pretty decent amount. So what we get in the room is not always what we get on tape or on digital capture, but it's a good indicator of what gives you the right vibe. Okay, so I'm going to start with the deluxe and just play some of the bits of the song that you know, the critical parts of the song, and just try to decide which amp is the one I want to use with the Zoom recording. Okay, so here we go. Make sure I've got everything out of standby, all that stuff. Got to turn all the guitars all the way up. Northeast cable going to the Carl Martin, and then the deluxe. And I'm sitting really close to it, so it's making noise. All right, here we go. And I've got it in the bridge position. Volume 8, treble 2, bass 5. This is a 66 Blackface Deluxe, first year of CBS ownership, but it's the same circuit as the year before. That's terrific. All right, so let's go to the neck pickup and just rip the little solo bit, the little riff bit. Something about a Fender guitar with a Fender amp, that sounds really good. I really like the little riff lead. That sounded like very glassy. Oh, fantastic. Wow. I could sit here all night doing this. All right, I wish I could play better, but I'm working on that. I'm going to get better at playing guitar. I used to always just use guitar to make noise, but I want to be better because I can tell that the better you can play, the more enriched musical palette you have to draw from. All right, now we're going to go 18 watt, but I'm going to turn off the camera so I can fluctuate the sound. Okay, that was the Fender Deluxe, which I thought sounded wonderful. All right, let's see what happens with the GDS 18 watt. Now, with this one, what I've tried to do with this guitar is I've rolled my tone off almost to like 2, 3, it's pretty low. And then my volume is all the way up. I'm going to stay in the headroom, stay with the reverb. And you'll notice that it's going to sound very different. And they're both wonderful sounding, both really rich sounding. This one is sweeter and more mid-range packed and has like a sparkle like that. And then this one has the really round low notes and the really, really high, glassy high notes. With kind of a scooped mid, but man, there's something just right about this amp and this guitar have some major synergy. Whereas I think the Sonics and the 18 watt and my Flying V, have major synergy with this one. I can hear the rain coming. All right, so I'm going to crank this baby up. Would not have been a good night to track. That's what I figured. I get a little bit of interference with the raindrops on the roof. All right, so let's rip that same section with this baby. That's just gorgeous, absolutely rich and beautiful, so much harmonic texture. Man, I don't know. It's going to be hard to, it's hard for me to say right now. It's going to have to be listening to it, you know, at home with headphones on back and forth. And if anybody out there is watching this, you know, and keeping up with this and has any kind of input like what you think, that would be really helpful, because I'm kind of in the weeds right now. I'm starting to lean towards the Fender, just because this song, I don't know, it's just such a Fender. I wrote it sitting around with this, and this one sounds the closest to what this sounds like just on its own. Whereas this adds a little bit of that sweet, sweet mid-range. It sounds way more British. So it's basically, it's a battle of the Western powers. We got the Americans versus the Brits. I don't know who wins. So let's just go home and listen. And if you guys happen to see it and you have any input, you know, an opinion, that would be wonderful. But I'm pretty sure I'll be able to decide on my own, just because I'm very particular about tone. And I think I know, right now I'm leaning towards the Deluxe. I shouldn't say that, because I'll probably go home and love the 18 watt. But I think it would give my record a little tonal variation. My first album that I did on the Zoom, the entire thing I did on with a Les Paul on 10s, connected directly to this with a Northeast cable, on an 18 watt head, GDS 18 watt head, which is the original Marshall circuit for the Blues Breaker 18 watt amp. Like that's the Clapton circuit, Roy Gallagher. A lot of people used these amps back in the day to record with, and then, you know, they needed the big 100 watt amps to go out on the stage. But in the recording studio, you know, we all know that these are great because you can crank them up. Same thing with this one. You get that power tube all hot and running instead of just preamp pushing everything. So, and tone is very important, and the vibe of the record. And I think that, like I said, this would give it a little more dynamic variation, a little more, I don't know, American tone to mix in with all the British tone. And on the last record, like I said, it was very one-dimensional, which was by design. I wanted to do kind of like a Joan Jett thing, you know, where it's like real simple, real straightforward, Ramones kind of thing, where it's like, all right, here's the one guitar, here's the one sound I'm going for, and now I want to bring in some other tonal elements just to give the record a richness, you know, that maybe the first one doesn't have. You always want to, you know, do something new with each project so that it distinguishes itself from the others. All right, so Zoom R24, hopefully I'll be tracking tomorrow. And I don't know which amp I'm going to choose. I'll have the night to decide. So in closing, if anyone out there has an opinion and you have a preference, put it in the comments section. That would be very helpful. Or just, you know, put a little message up or whatever. So anyway, thanks again. Glad to be back in recording, getting creative. It's so I love doing my technical projects, because the technical projects are part of what gets me here. You know, if I can't get the instrument to sound the way I want it to, I can't get off on the recording of the song. But now that I'm past that and I've got everything almost dialed in, like where I want it, this guitar is like 95% of the way there. It's got a little few tweaks now. It's be perfect, but it's darn close with both amps. And so you know, that's just important to me. But now that it's done, I feel that, you know, creative thing coming back, and I love working on the Zoom, and I love the feedback I get from you guys, the thought that I could possibly be helping someone, and the help that I'm receiving in return. It really, really keeps me going. All right, next time.